Developed by Atlus, Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Millennium Girl, is a classic dungeon crawler where you trawl step by step through environments with traps, puzzles and monsters. The catch with Etrian Odyssey is you have to draw the map on the lower 3DS screen, input locations of traps and doors and draw in every single wall, until you get sick of it and hit the option that fills in walls itself. It doesn't matter. You can still have fun filling in the maps without. If the fun was just drawing boxes around things, this game wouldn't have gotten the 6 entries, 4 spin-offs, and 2 remakes over 11 years. Speaking of remakes, that's exactly what this is. Untold is a rebuilt version of the original Etrian Odyssey game released for the DS in 2007, but with an added story campaign. This is something lacking in the regular releases of these games. The story itself is bare bones. You play a silent protagonist and find an amnesiac girl in a spacesuit who is somehow more cryptic when she regains her memory halfway through the game. The last chunk of the game felt railroaded to an ultimately disappointing final boss. Overall, it's not a good story, but I don't think I would have played it without. Which is entirely possible, by the way. There's 2 versions of this game built in. Other than the story campaign, you have the classic version, where you hire a number of classes and take as many as the game will let you on the adventure. I did not play this mode, mainly because the game doesn't allow you to have 2 save slots. A terrible design decision, honestly. They at least rectified this in the sequel's remake. So combat is, much like the rest of this game's presentation, absurdly classic turn-based combat. You've got your HP, MP, referred to as TP here, spells and skills. I'm not sure how to convey this without going into the history of RPGs. It's as classic as it gets. But honestly, I spent a lot of time auto-battling. It's not a robust system, as it just sets people to attack by default, and there's a bunch of contemporaries that take a more interesting approach and allow you to set strategies for the auto system. But for what it's worth, it was at least useful. You can do it while watching TV. At this point in time, that's exactly what I want from a game that you spend a large chunk of time grinding levels in. Conversely, if I'm not autoing, I want a robust combat system to keep me strategically occupied. I don't think this game quite managed that though. If I had to give one reason for it, it's the many diminishing returns as you progress through the upgrade system. Every spell and skill gains huge MP requirements from your rather small pool, and you have very few ways to mitigate the loss. Time for some nitpicking. Having a single bag with only 60 slots to handle the many aspects of your inventory is bad. There is a storage space for excess consumables and equipment, but it's not a solution when you're out in the field. Then we have the huge amount of side quests. If you're not like me, absent-mindedly grinding while I watch Gundam, you'd probably want to do the side quests as they provide a lot of experience. But at what cost? Most of the quests involve wandering around the floor, sometimes unspecified, so you're actually searching 5 floors. One of the last quests I took on was to find every mineable mineral on the 2nd stratum. I went to every mining spot and ultimately ended up with many copies of 2 different materials. Not enough apparently, so you go back to town, sleep for the night to reset the gathering points, and go back and search all 5 floors again. Also, keep in mind that you're still filling your inventory during this and could easily run out of space before hitting all of the mining spots just by fighting monsters. There's just a lot of filler here, and sometimes they bring you to areas you've long since grown too strong for. I stopped doing them when I realized I was checking the internet for every solution because I just wanted them out of my menu. I was also more than high enough a level to just fight my way to the anticlimactic ending. So I don't have a recommendation for this personally. I never played classic mode, so I can't comment on that, but I do have the sequel that will allow me to play both. I think if you like one of these games, you'll like all of them. But if you don't, but want to keep trying, there's always a chance the next will grab you. After all, this is actually the second I've played in this series. And terrible ending aside, I did enjoy this one a lot more.